Meet American picker Mike Wolfe on Diamonds in the Rough with Lee Cowan. American pickers made him rich and famous, but then it all fell apart. Mike Wolfe's divorce cost him $5,800,000, and his friend Frank died after their fight. Now his store has mysteriously closed, and fans are wondering if the show is even real. From fake fines to angry neighbors, the truth about Mike Wolfe is finally coming out, and it's nothing like what you see on TV. Mike Wolfe was born on June 11, 1964, in Joliet, Illinois. Wolfe grew up in Bendorf, Iowa, with his siblings Beth and Robbie. His mother, Rita, raised them all by herself, working hard to support the family. Money was tight, but Wolfe never let that stop him. He found opportunities in the strangest places. To avoid bullies on his way to school, he took a different route that went through alleys and backyards. That's where he first noticed something that other kids had missed. People had thrown away things. He was only 6 years old when he saw a banana seat bicycle lying in the weeds behind a house. He took it from a neighbor's house, cleaned it up, pumped up the tires, and sold it for $5. It wasn't just the money, it was the thrill of finding something valuable where no one else had bothered to look. That moment sparked something in him. As he got older, he spent more time looking for old bikes, furniture, and antiques. While other kids played sports or watched TV, Wolfe would bring home rusty bikes and broken down chairs with plans to fix them up. His mother saw his passion and let him do it, used the family garage as a workshop. He wasn't just collecting junk, he was also learning how to fix up and sell bicycles. His love of bikes led him to open a bike shop before he turned his attention entirely to antiques. In 2000, Wolfe decided to turn his lifelong hobby into a business. He opened Antique Archaeology in Lear, Iowa, a store full of unique finds from his picking adventures. He spent his days searching through barns, garages, and abandoned buildings for lost pieces of history. The business grew steadily until 2010. When American Pickers first aired on the History Channel, it was an instant hit. People loved seeing Wolfe and his team find lost treasures all over America. But it wasn't just about the antiques, it was also about the stories behind them, the history, the craftsmanship, and the people who used to own them. As American Pickers became more popular, Wolfe opened a second location in Nashville, Tennessee, in a restored car factory. The space became more than just a store. It was a Wolfe. Built his business on a simple idea: find lost pieces of history, fix them up, and put them in the hands of people who understand how important they are. His ability to spot valuable items and tell their stories made Antique Archaeology more than just a shop. He went on to create the clothing line 2 Lanes, which was inspired by road trips in small-town America, and wrote a book called Kid Pickers that encourages kids to learn about history through collecting. Wolfe wasn't content with just selling antiques, he also wanted to save America's history. To do this, he worked on projects like This Place Matters, a campaign with the National Trust for Historic Preservation to restore historic buildings and small-town landmarks. For example, in Ireland, he turned a 1947 Chevy dealership into a store while keeping its original look. In Tennessee, he helped bring life back to abandoned buildings, showing that history could be kept without losing its meaning. Mike Wolfe's journey to create American Pickers began long before the cameras were rolling. He wasn't just another reality TV star trying to get famous. He had been a picker his whole life and saw value in what other people threw away. Wolfe spent decades driving back roads, digging through barns and garages and finding relics of America's past. He didn't just collect things, he also collected stories. He filmed his adventures, capturing the thrill of discovery and the personal histories behind each item. He didn't just sell a show to TV networks, he sold a vision, a way to make history interesting by connecting it to the everyday people who unknowingly kept it alive. For 5 years, Wolfe pitched his idea to many networks, but most didn't see the appeal of 2 guys driving around looking for antiques. He didn't give up, though, because he knew there was something special about what he was doing. In 2009, his persistence finally paid off. The History Channel saw the potential, and within months, American Pickers was born. The first episode of American Pickers drew 3.1 million viewers, making it the History Channel's most successful debut since Ice Road Truckers. Within weeks, that number rose to nearly 4 million. The timing was perfect. Shows like Pawn Stars were already showing that history-based reality TV could work, and American Pickers fit right in with that trend. But what made it stand out was its heart. It wasn't just a show about buying and selling, it was about the people, the places, and the stories behind them. A big part of the show's success came from Wolfe's partnership with Fritz. The two had known each other since middle school and became close over their love of antiques. They both grew up without fathers and found the thrill of the hunt to be something they had in common. When Wolfe created American Pickers, Fritz was the natural choice for a co-host because of his laid-back personality and love of strange collectibles like old toys and oil cans, which added a layer of humor and warmth to the show. They had a way of making people feel at ease on camera, which helped collectors tell their best stories. Their chemistry made the show feel real. There wasn't any scripted drama or forced interactions. It was just two longtime friends doing what they loved, and viewers connected with that. Even though tensions led to his departure in 2021, his impact on the show's early success could not be denied. In addition to its interesting hosts, American Pickers stood out because each episode was more than a treasure hunt. It was a journey through history. Instead of just focusing on the monetary value of an item, Wolfe made sure the show explored its cultural significance. Where did it come from? Who owned it? Why was it important? This storytelling approach transformed seemingly ordinary objects into powerful links to the past. The show also carried a message of sustainability. Picking wasn't just about making money, it was about giving old items a second life. In an age of mass production and disposable culture, American Pickers reminded viewers that the past still had value, not just in money, but also in meaning. From the start, American Pickers changed the way history could be told on TV. It wasn't about textbooks or museums, but about everyday people's forgotten treasures and the stories hidden in the strangest places. Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz worked together for over a decade on the show, turning rusty junk into valuable finds. Their partnership helped make the show a hit, but behind the scenes, their friendship began to fall apart. Things had reached a breaking point by 2020 when Fritz stopped appearing on the show for no apparent reason. Fans hoped he would return, but he never did. In July 2021, Wolfe announced on Instagram that Fritz was officially out, calling their journey full of ups and downs and saying Fritz would be missed. Fritz didn't believe a word of it, calling Wolfe's statement "bulls." Later, Fritz revealed that he and Wolfe hadn't talked in 2 years, even though Fritz had major back surgery in 2020. Wolfe never checked in. He knew my back was hurt, but he didn't call me up and ask how I was doing. Fritz said he felt abandoned by someone he had known for over 40 years. There was more to the feud than silence. Fritz thought the show was geared 100% toward Wolfe. He said he compared their dynamic to a band, where Wolfe was always the lead singer and he played backup. But Fritz's health problems made things even worse. He had been fighting Crohn's disease for years. In 2020, he had back surgery that kept him off the road for a while, and during that time, he became addicted to painkillers. The network had strict rules about drug use, and Fritz reportedly failed mandatory screenings, which gave them another reason to keep him off the show. Still, Fritz insisted he hadn't quit. He had been fired. The feud got out in public, and Fritz accused Wolfe of putting his brother Robbie Wolfe ahead of him because Wolfe was starting to look less American. Pickers Wolfe, on the other hand, said he had tried to help Fritz and even pushed him to get help. He said the breakup was painful and like losing a brother. By mid-2021, it was official. The History Channel confirmed Fritz's departure. Fans were upset because they had watched him and Wolfe travel across America for over 300 episodes since the show's debut in 2010. Many people thought the show wasn't the same without him, and some started petitions to bring him back. But by that time, Britt's health was more important than TV. Then tragedy struck in July 2022. Fritz had a severe stroke that left him partially paralyzed and unable to get out of bed. His condition never got better, and on September 30, 2024, at the age of 60, he died. Despite everything, Wolfe was said to have been by his side. They had reconnected privately in May 2023, and after Fritz's death, Wolfe posted a tribute on Instagram calling him a dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny. Mike Wolfe made a name for himself by digging through barns and backyards to find lost treasures. Over the years, he's had problems with his reputation. Some fans question whether the show is real, while others criticize how he runs his business. More recently, his efforts to bring a small town back to life were met with backlash. These problems haven't stopped him, but they have changed how people see him. One of the biggest arguments in American Pickers history happened in the 2016 episode Shelby in the Barn, which followed Wolfe and his co-worker John S. as they looked for a Chevy neon sign in Alabama. Instead, they stumbled upon a rare 1967 Shelby Mustang GT500, a car that had reportedly been sitting untouched for over 40 years. The discovery seemed too good to be true, and fans quickly raised questions. Viewers took to Facebook and Reddit wondering how such a rare car could appear so conveniently on camera. Some believed production staff scouted locations ahead of time, and prearranged finds to make the show more exciting. Others pointed out that reality TV always involves some level of planning, but the financial details added to the doubts. The Mustang was worth about $75,000, even though it was in bad shape. Restoring it would cost over $100,000. Wolfe offered to buy it, but the owner said no because it had sentimental value. This only added to the doubts. Some fans thought the situation was staged to create drama, while others said that drama-filled moments like this were needed to keep the show interesting. Either way, it became one of the most talked about finds in American Pickers history outside of Wolfe's business. In 2022, a customer said that Antique Archaeology backed out of a sale to take a higher offer. The customer had placed an order on the website, received a confirmation, and then got a refund without an explanation. They were suspicious and filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, writing, "I suspect they accepted a higher offer. I just want them to honor the purchase like they originally did." In response, Antique Archaeology said that two people had bought the same item on January 21st, 2022, within hours of each other. Two payments went through before the system could update the inventory. The second order was refunded because of this, but some customers were still angry. Complaints about the store weren't new. Over the years, many have complained about the high prices, pointing out that simple vintage signs cost $900 and branded socks cost $18, even though the business makes about $900,000 a year. These problems have made some people question Wolfe's morals. In response to the problems with the online orders, Wolfe's team promised to make the website better so that similar problems don't happen again. But the harshest criticism Wolfe has received isn't about his show or store. It's about how he has changed Columbia, Tennessee. In 2012, he bought a historic home there for $700,000 and spent over $1 million restoring it to its original design. That wasn't the end of it. He also bought a 2-lane vacation rental and a bike shop as part of his plan to bring new business to the town. People like what he's doing, but not everyone is happy. Some say he's raising property values and changing Columbia's identity. Concerns grew when plans for a $9,830,000 6-story condo project were revealed. Some residents are worried that their small-town charm is going away, while others fear they will be priced out of their own homes. Community Wolfe sees his work as a way to preserve history while creating jobs. He often posts updates on social media about his restoration projects and showing off his classic car. His love for old treasures hasn't stopped people from criticizing him. The debate over his effect on Columbia continues, and for many it brings up a bigger question. When does revitalization turn into gentrification? Mike Wolfe has spent years looking for forgotten treasures across America, but his personal life has also been hard. He married Jody Faith in 2012, and while they built a life together, they faced serious problems. Jody was diagnosed with stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2013 and fought through treatment for years before being declared cancer-free in 2020. Despite winning the battle together, they didn't stay together after that. They broke up in June 2020 and got a divorce in December 2021, saying they had irreconcilable differences. The settlement was big, and Jod got over $5 million, $8 million in cash, and homes in Tennessee and North Carolina. Besides that, American Pickers gave her earnings and $2,100 in monthly child support. She got primary custody of their daughter Charlie, but Mike has stayed an active and devoted father. He often posts pictures of himself with Charlie on social media to show how much he loves her and how committed he is to being there for her, even though his job is very demanding. The divorce was hard, but it also helped him grow. On November 6, 2024, Mike turned 60, and his girlfriend Letitia Clean sent him and Mike heartfelt messages about his journey and accomplishments. For Mike, this birthday was more than just another year. It was a chance to take a step back and think about what really matters. He had spent decades on the road looking for antiques and telling the stories of forgotten history. But now his focus had changed. He talked about valuing the small group of people around him and putting meaningful relationships ahead of work. Even with this shift in focus, his love for picking, he still traveled across the country looking for rare items and meeting people with amazing stories. Turning 60 didn't slow him down. If anything, it made him appreciate the journey even more. Mike Wolfe has always been on the move, looking for lost treasures and uncovering history, one pick at a time. But 2025 began with an unexpected problem. His Nashville antique store, Antique Archaeology, closed suddenly in February because of a gas leak caused by nearby construction, completely out of his control. The store's team posted an apology on social media, letting customers know they were working on fixing the issue. They promised updates on when they'd reopen, but as of late February, no official date has been set. Fans immediately started asking questions. Some believed the closure was temporary and would be resolved soon. Others wondered if something bigger was happening behind the scenes, with retail businesses struggling across the country and American pickers. Facing declining ratings in recent years, speculation grew. People were wondering if this meant that Wolfe was shifting his focus or if the store was having problems beyond just the construction issues. This was being asked even though there had been no official statement indicating anything more than a temporary closure. For years, the Nashville store has been more than just a place to buy antiques. It has been a must-see for fans of the show and vintage fins, and along with its sister store in La Claire, Iowa, it has been an important part of Wolfe's brand, is a physical extension of his love for finding lost pieces of history. But no matter how successful a business is, opening a physical store comes with risks, like sudden closings. Rising costs and changes in customer habits all affect how long a store can stay open. Wolfe has been in the business long enough to know this, and while he hasn't said anything about the long-term future of the Nashville store, fans are hoping it reopens soon. Wolfe's 2024 had already been an emotional year full of personal loss and big life changes. In September, his longtime friend and former American Pickers co-star Fritz died. Their relationship had been tense in recent years since Fritz quit the show because of health problems, but Wolfe was there with Fritz in his last moments, holding his hand as he died. It was a reminder of the deep history they had built together. Their love of antiques turned into a show that inspired millions of people, but even with all of these personal changes, Wolfe isn't slowing down. American Pickers is going back on the road, with filming set to resume in South Carolina in February 2025. Producers have asked locals to participate, encouraging people with unique collections and interesting stories to get in touch. This is an effort to bring new energy to the show, which could be important since its viewership has been going down. He has spent decades searching through barns, garages, and forgotten storage units in the hopes of finding something special that isn't related to the show. He continues to grow his business ventures. Two Lands Guest House, a boutique rental property, and Columbia Motor Alley, a vintage-inspired space for classic car enthusiasts, are still important parts of his work. Even as he balances these different projects, his passion for finding history stays the same. Mike Wolfe is best known for his TV show American Pickers, but his love for history goes far beyond the screen. He has spent years turning his love for antiques into something much bigger, from writing books to restoring buildings. He has dedicated his life to preserving the past in ways that reach millions of people. One of his biggest projects outside of TV is Kid Pickers, a book he wrote to encourage kids to learn about history through antiques. He wants kids to see old things not just as things, but as parts of history. If they want to learn how to find hidden treasures, research their history, and understand why these pieces of the past are important, this book is for them. It shows how Wolfe sees the world, not just as a collector, but also as a storyteller who wants to pass on knowledge to future generations. His love of history led him to create Antique Archaeology, a brand that goes beyond picking. He sells hats, t-shirts, and other items that are inspired by his adventures. American Pickers is all about the journey of discovery, but this is more than just merchandise. It connects people to his journey and lets them be a part of the world he has created. He has two stores, one in Lear, Iowa, and the other in Nashville, Tennessee. Both are full of unique finds from his travels, making them more than just shops. They are places where history comes alive. But Wolfe isn't just interested in collecting and selling old things. He wants to save the places where history was made. He works with the National Trust for Historic Preservation to bring attention to buildings and landmarks that are in danger of being lost forever. One of the most important campaigns he has supported is This Place Matters, which urges people to protect historical sites that tell America's story. His dedication to preservation goes beyond just raising awareness. He also buys and restores historic buildings himself. For example, in Columbia, Tennessee, he bought a 1947 Chevy dealership that had been empty for years. Instead of tearing it down or modernizing it so much that it was unrecognizable, he carefully restored it while keeping its original character. It's now a store, but more importantly, it's proof that old buildings don't have to be destroyed to have new life. Wolfe has also spent millions of dollars to bring small towns back to life. He knows that when old buildings go away, communities lose more than just structures. They lose businesses, memories, and a sense of who they are. That's why he puts money into places like Lear, Iowa, and Columbia, Tennessee, not only by fixing up buildings, but also by helping these towns build a future. One of his biggest projects is Nashville's Big Backyard, which is meant to bring economic growth to small towns with less than 5,000 people. This program covers from Muscle Shoals, Alabama to Lies Fork, Tennessee, and helps these towns attract remote workers and tourists by getting money for marketing, tourism, and infrastructure. Wolfe is making sure that these places don't just survive, they thrive. He is also very dedicated to collecting and preserving old motorcycles. His love for bikes began when he was 13. He bought his first motorcycle without telling his mother, and he was hooked. Over the years, his collection has grown to include more than 130 antique motorcycles. Some of the rarest models he owns are a 1913 Indian TNN and a 1934 Harley-Davidson VL Wolfe. He is especially interested in American motorcycles made before 1920 because they represent the Wolfe doesn't just collect these bikes, he also carefully preserves them. While many collectors fully restore old motorcycles to look brand new, Wolfe prefers to keep them in their original condition. To him, every scratch, dent, and bit of rust tells a story, and he thinks that keeping them authentic is just as important as keeping them running. Wolfe's love for motorcycles isn't just limited to collecting. He also rides them, taking old bikes on long, scenic trips across the country, connecting with other motorcycle history fans and working with museums like Wheels Through Time in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, to help show off rare and historically important motorcycles. In January 2025, Wolfe made headlines when he decided to sell 62 motorcycles from his collection at Miam Auctions in Las Vegas. This wasn't just to sell them, it was part of a shift in his focus from keeping all of them to focusing on certain eras of heat. He wants other motorcycle collectors to have a chance to own something unique. For Wolfe, these bikes are more than just machines. They're stories that capture the spirit of innovation and adventure from another time. Everything he does, from collecting antiques to restoring buildings to collecting motorcycles, is for the same reason. He wants other people to value old things, not just because they are rare or expensive, but because they have meaning.